We are on the way to Cincinnati. It is 3:43 in the morning. We have an hour and 20 minutes left. We'll get there at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had a bit of a road trip mishap, you could say. Anthony took a little bit of time commuting from Auburn to Knoxville. So we camped out in Knoxville for a little bit. Tomorrow we're hitting the University of Cincinnati versus Northwestern State game. We'll have coverage of that on the TikTok. You'll see that before this video comes out. Sunday we're going to Bengals versus Jaguars. Open and orange, first home game. I got sick of the all 22, so we're getting all 22 in person, baby. So I'm excited. Thanks for watching. Here we go. All right, guys, we're pre-gaming the pre-game.
Day one, Ohio, baby.
Game.
Let's go.
So, cheers.
Cheers.
Go Bearcats.
Ooh, that was slow.
All right, got back from the UC game. It was a blast. Drank a little too much. We ended up leaving at halftime. They ended up shortening the third and fourth quarter to 10 minutes because it was such a blowout, which is crazy. I'm sure that happens, but I've never heard of that before. This Cincinnati team looks really good. Brendan Sorsby is obviously the star of this team. He is both their rushing leader and passing leader. This dude had 5 passing touchdowns in the first quarter, threw 15 for 15 in the game, got taken out at the midway through the second quarter, had a touchdown on the ground as well. It doesn't matter what level of competition you're playing, throwing 0 incompletions is very impressive. And I'm excited to see this Cincinnati team as the season progresses. Obviously, they lost by 3 points to Nebraska. Sorsby only had 69 passing yards, but he had 96 yards on the ground, and they, stayed in that game versus a Big Ten opponent. Bowling Green won 34-20. Sorsby had 333 yards in the air, 40 on the ground. And then obviously today, 70-0 Northwestern State. Sorsby absolutely killed it. I'm interested to see if he enters the Heisman watch after this week. Obviously, you're playing again a lower tier program, FCS program in Northwestern State. Those kind of stats don't mean nothing. They have a tough schedule this year. They play Kansas next week, Iowa State after that, ranked, UCF, Oklahoma State, Baylor, number 20 ranked Utah, play Arizona, and they play BYU and then TCU at the end of the year. So, I'm excited to see if the Bearcats can keep up that kind of, dominance on the offensive side. Hope Sorsby has a good season. It's very fun to watch him. I didn't see him throw one bad ball all day today, and he got taken out in the second quarter, so we didn't really get to see a ton of it. Little preview of the Bengals Jaguars game tomorrow. We will be at the game. I'm really excited to see this Bengals offense hopefully step it up this week after the slow performance last week versus the Browns. The key to this game for the Bengals is their O-line needs to be able to contain this defensive line to open up the passing down the field for Joe Burrow. The Jaguars secondary is definitely the weak spot in this defense. Obviously, Travis Hunter is the big name there. If the Bengals offensive line can contain the D-line even, a little bit, I see no reason why the Bengals can't go out here and, dominate this game. Now, I will say Jaguars running game did look very good last week against the Panthers. Travis Etienne Jr. had 143 yards on the ground. Bengals defensive line is a lot better than it was last year, but it's still not great. Obviously, small sample size. We've only seen him play 1 week, but it will be interesting to see if the Bengals D-line has improved enough to stop this rushing game with Travis Etienne Jr., especially with Tank Bigsby gone now. Etienne's going to be getting all the snaps in that running game. So I think the key to this game for the Bengals is have their O-line block that Jaguars D-line and have their D-line contain that Jaguars running game. Key to this game for the Jaguars is obviously the reverse of that, being able to rush the quarterback, get to Joe Burrow, and you're going to have to keep up that offensive efficiency for the Jaguars if you want to stay in this game and compete with the Bengals, whose defense looks better than last year. All right, Bengals Jaguars finished up. Obviously, Joe Burrow's injury is the elephant in the room, but let's talk about the rest of the game first. Big fan of how the defense played today. Obviously, could have been better. That defense is never going to be in top 10 or anything, but they played really good. They held BTJ to 4 receptions on 12 targets, something like that. Had a couple really good 4th down stops, one at the end of the 4th quarter with the game on the line after Jake Browning threw an interception. I had fans leaving the stadium, right, in front of me, they were walking out. Defense clutched up, came in with a big 4th down stop. They looked really good today, especially against Travis Etienne. D-line did a good job containing the run for the most part. Definitely, Travis Etienne had some big runs, and, our run defense definitely still needs some work. But considering what Travis Etienne did last week, the Bengals defense looked pretty good against him. Let's talk about the offense. Obviously, Joe Burrow goes down in the 2nd quarter. Jake Browning comes in. Jake Browning played pretty good for the most part. Obviously, he had a couple bad turnovers. He was throwing the ball into triple coverage. Just not great spots he was trying to put the football in. Now, that being said, Jake Browning is he loves to throw the ball downfield, which works very well in this Bengals offense with that great wide receiver room. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Yossi Bosch, now Mitch Tinsley, his first touchdown today. Congratulations to him. They're saying Joe Burrow might be out for up to 3 months if he does need surgery on his turf toe. Jake Browning, we've seen him play a lot of football for the Bengals. He's looked good for us in the past. He went 9-8 when he started half the season 2 years ago, which is the same exact record we had last year when Joe Burrow played all year. Interestingly enough, the Bengals offensive line, their PFF pass pro grade is 20 points higher when they're blocking for Jake Browning than it is for Joe Burrow. 20 points higher. So I don't know how to quantify that. Maybe it's because Joe Burrow holds the ball for a lot longer than Jake Browning does. But, I'm interested to see if, they can get it going. We got to fix the O-line. That's really, we got everything else now. Defense is looking better. Offense obviously looks great. That O-line, on paper, it's the best it's been since Joe Burrow's been here, and it still fucking sucks. Overall takeaways, glad to be 2-0. Overall, the team looked pretty good today. Obviously, we're hoping Joe Burrow is, the injury is not that bad. We'll have to see. But yeah, defense looked pretty good today. Offense looked pretty good today. Started off slow, but, got it going in the end. Shout out Jake Browning. We're 2-0. First time in a long time. First time since Zach Taylor's been here, we've been 2-0. All right, guys, back at the house, back from Cincinnati. That drive was a little rough, but we made it. They announced while we were driving home, Joe Burrow is going to be out for 3 months. Super, super unfortunate. However, if Jake Browning can go into this offense and perform the way he's done in the past for us, in this last game for us, we can go out there, stack some wins. Joe Burrow can be back by the beginning of December and, be ready to play those last 3 or 4 games and make a playoff push if that's what it takes. Hopefully Jake Browning can perform, better than that. But if it takes, we got to stack a couple wins, get to a decent spot, and Joe Burrow comes back, takes over the reins, and we make that playoff push, then I think we can make it happen. That's it for the video. Thanks for watching.